Hi, this is part 2 of Adult Learners, Characteristics and Methods, Module 5 for OSHE 471. We will discuss the techniques of adult training methods, which include presentation, input or discussion, do it, and group building. We will start with presentation techniques, which are good if you want the learners to get new facts or information they do not have already. It gives them an overview of a problem or issue and can acquire a logical point of view presented clearly. There are different types of presentation techniques: lecture, audio-visual aids, and panel. First presentation technique we will discuss is the lecture method. Lecture method is where the trainer will teach orally to a group of class participants. Lectures usually convey critical information, theories, and inquiries. It is one of the oldest teaching strategies. The classroom is organized in a way that is conducive for teaching and learning activities, as seen in this picture. A lecture can provide a brief introduction on knowledge of learning before demonstrating the skill or introducing another method of learning. The trainer should use other methods that involve the participants in between the lecture to stimulate interest. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the lecture method? First, the advantages. Because of its advantages, a majority of instructors use the lecture method at least part of the time. The lecture method saves resources and is the main reason it is more mainstream method to be utilized most often. It also gives a feeling of security as everyone is more comfortable with the lecture method since it has been around for so long. It is one of the most efficient teaching methods for presenting many facts or ideas in a relatively short time. Material has been logically organized and can be presented concisely in rapid sequence. It is particularly suitable for introducing a subject. You can present basic information in a lecture to ensure that everyone has the necessary background to learn a subject. A brief introductory lecture can give direction and purpose to a demonstration to prepare students for a discussion. The lecture is a convenient method for instructing large groups. The lecture is sometimes the only efficient method to use if the trainer to trainee ratio is so high. The lecture also allows a large number of learners to receive information in very little time. This is a much easier process than a person trying to research the material single-handedly. A lecture allows the learners to receive actual experience from an experienced trainer, which will give great credibility with students. Although the lecture method can be effective and efficient teaching method, it has a number of disadvantages. The lecture can be boring and does not lead to maximum achievement. Many instructors find it difficult to hold the attention of their students when they lecture for an entire class period. To use the lecture method effectively, we obviously need considerable skill in speaking. The lecture method is not appropriate for all subjects, such as classes for speech skills, cooperative group thinking, and motor skills. You can only develop these skills through practice. The lecture does not provide the trainer an opportunity to estimate the class's progress before an examination. Within a single lecture period, we may unwittingly present more information than they can absorb, and we have little accurate means during the lecture of determining what they have learned. A lecture makes no provision for participation by the students. As a result, many willingly allow the trainer to do all the work. Therefore, it is only a one-way communication. Learning is an active process, but the lecture method tends to foster passiveness and dependence on the instructor. Trainers may have to spend much time preparing for lecture. It relies heavily on the knowledge of trainer and is a greater burden on the trainer for the total lesson. Lecture method fails to sustain the attention, concentration, and interest of the learners as seen in the below chart. This shows the minimum effectiveness level of learning. About 20 minutes is what the average adult attention span is said to be. A good lecture will always have relevant examples that can hold the attention of the trainee. Make it interesting. It is best to use topics that are technical that an expert is needed to explain them. It is also best not to use war stories. You can use personal examples, but limit them and don't drag them on. Keep them brief. There are several audio-visual aids that you can utilize along with the lecture format. These will definitely grasp the trainee's attention and stimulate their brains. Overhead transparencies are projected on a screen to the class. Be sure that the text is large enough that everyone in the room will be able to visually see it without eye strain. Limit the text as well as you do not want it with too much information. Just use key points. If they contain color, that can stimulate their brains. The overhead transparency should serve as an outline or show relevant information in graphs or charts. They can also include photos or drawings that can explain certain points of the lecture. Slides are used to display photographs to enhance certain lectures. Videotapes are very useful in learning, but try not to rely on them too heavily. There are plenty of videos out there, so be sure it contains the content that you intend to teach. You can also do a questionnaire to the class before a video, which can motivate the trainees to watch the video. Demonstration and flannel boards can be effective training aids. Demonstration boards are standing wooden boards that can show a topic such as an electrical circuit, plumbing connection, or a lockout-tagout procedure. Flannel boards are good for sorting words or tasks into their proper order, like steps in a decision or action process. Computer-based slides such as a PowerPoint can be projected onto a screen in front of the training room. A panel method is another type of presentation style technique. A panel is when you have a few speakers, called the panelists, and they carry on a conversation in front of an audience. A panel consists of panelists, the audience, and a chairman or moderator. Sometimes the audience can input questions beforehand for the panelists to answer or clarify them. A panel should be limited to 3 panelists and give them about 10 minutes of speaking time. And be sure to leave time for discussion and possible questions. The advantages of panels are they are good to be able to get different perspectives from each individual on the panel. There is some cross discussion, and you may even see some trainee or audience participation if questions are permitted. Panels also encourage social learning. It can be used to develop ability of problem solving and logical thinking. Panels are good at developing the capacity to respect other people's ideas and feelings and the ability to tolerate. The disadvantages of panels. They are primarily one-way communication from the panel to the audience with no or limited participation, which can be boring. Only the panelists get a chance to analyze and discuss the topic. There are chances to deviate from the theme of discussion if the chairman does not keep the discussion on track. And you can also have some members of the panel dominate the discussion, so the chairman needs to be in control to prevent panelists from talking too long. The discussion can sometimes turn into a debate fest and lose focus on the subject and providing information to the trainees.